Welcome to Peak Personalities. This is a series we'll be doing bi-weekly with me and Nathan. The concept will be going by one series at a time, talking about some of our favorite moments, about a variety of characters, and for now, we're covering Bleach. I'll go into my character now.
Yep, let's see who you got.
Brief intro. I have not thought of a catchy title for this one yet, but The Princess Who Protects. We're covering Orihime today.
Oh, ooh, that's crazy. I would never guess that one out of you.
What's so crazy about that?
I would never guess you to pick Orihime ever, like, of all characters. I thought your next one was going to be, like, or be a captain.
I don't think I've picked a captain yet.
Yeah, no, I don't think you have.
So intro, probably the most controversial female character in all of Bleach, behind Soifon, I would say, because she doesn't hit big and hurt people, so men don't like.
Yeah.
But she has such a strong emotional core, and I would say she's probably the heart of Bleach alongside Ichigo. She just brings a lot of grounded reality to the supernatural, because Bleach kind of loses some of its grounded feel once it comes out of the first like substitute Soul Reaper arc. It just feels less and less like your everyday people trying to deal with supernatural issues.
So are you saying that she, like, makes it more, like, brings it back to its roots?
I would say so.
Yeah, I like that about Orihime. Although she doesn't show up much.
Yeah, unfortunately, she doesn't have that many scenes in the Spada arc, but she's like really sidelined in the Thousand Year Blood War.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I really wish we're able to expand Urahara, Chad's, and Orihime's involvement in Wakamundo,
Mm-hmm.
because it still just feels like they're telling us what happened instead of showing us. So I'm going to go to my pivotal moments. The thing I wrote here would be her decision to join the Espada. I think it was quite integral to the plot because you had the Soul Society deciding not to help Ichigo get Orihime. Because they're like, oh, she's probably a traitor because she healed you before she left. And realistically, Orihime did what she could because she tried to heal those Soul Reapers that Rukiora destroyed in the middle of the precipice world, and he's like, here's all your friends, I know who they are, I know what humans are living with, and I will kill them. And what she saw before that was Chad get destroyed by Yami, she got injured by Yami, and then Rukiora casually tells Urahara and Yoriichi they're trash, and he deflects Urahara's attack with his bare hand. It's like, well, why would she think Urahara and Yoriichi could protect them if Rukiora already disrespected them to their face? So she's kind of forced into buying time with this decision, but nonetheless, it's still a hard decision to make.
I think it was very, like, female characters always being damsels in distress, but I think this was like a moment.
Use her agency for someone else.
Exactly. It wasn't like that helpful, like, it is a technically a helpless princess, if you will look at it like that, but she's very bold in what she did because she knew it would be for the, like, the benefit of the whole, you know.
Could you imagine what Rukiora would have done to Yumichika, Ikaku, Toshiro, Urahara, Yoriichi, and Ichigo if she's just like, yeah, I'm not going? Like, they needed the time.
They did, but I'm not gonna sit here and act like Urahara probably couldn't have gone 1-1 with them. I think if Urahara actually was like, all right, hold on, I actually kind of have to sweat against this dude, I think Urahara would have been fine. But
Urahara probably would have had a shot.
Toshiro absolutely would have gotten cooked.
I think it would come down to Urahara and Yoriichi. Based on how hesitant Rukiora would be to use his Segunda Etapa, because I would say both of them don't really fare well against stat sticks.
Yeah, but I mean, like, when they faced against Aizen, they really did, like, Aizen, like, openly admitted that, like, their attacks totally would have worked if he just didn't have the Hogyoku.
Yeah.
Granted, that was a little bit of planning, so. But nonetheless, Orihime was making a business decision.
I will say the other big pivotal moment I would like to highlight is her interactions with Urahara, where he's like trying to dissuade her from joining the fight, and instead of accepting his word for it, she like really sits on it. She reaches out to other people for information, and eventually her connection to Ichigo leads her to meet Hachi, who gives her this information. Yes, you're not a fighter.
You're a white mage.
but your skills are super valuable to a battle force. And that gives her like this new perspective, and I think that helps her eventually find her path to being on the battlefield and a fighting force for the Soul Reapers. Because she's like always wanted to fight.
She wants to be strong. She wants to be there for Ichigo.
Like, she was absolutely pissed when Ichigo was fighting Byakuya, and she's like, yeah, I don't think I can step in this one.
Yeah.
And then she also tried to help Ichigo against Rukiora, and Ichigo's just like, yeah, you're gonna get yourself hurt.
I think in the 1,000-year Blood War, I think she fully accepts her passive role as a white mage.
She is just better for it.
Yeah, and like there's nothing wrong with that. I don't even think most anime actually do that, where they'll have like the female protag just being a passive like support role.
For a strong character moment would be her speech to Ichigo about how she wishes she could be 5 different people living in 5 different towns, eating 5 different meals.
She would still love him the same. Oh my gosh.
And all fall in love with the same person. It just is such a bittersweet moment.
Oh, it's so amazing. Oh my gosh.
And you're just like, is there a happy ending for them? Like, what will it even come to?
Especially during that time, we were thinking like Orihime was gonna get cooked. Like she was either gonna die, and this was gonna be like a moment for Ichigo to like grow. But I'm glad I held off. I'm glad I held off on the pivotal moment because this was definitely what I was gonna pick. I was actually rewatching Bleach, and this was like one of the episodes I did not remember that well, and I was rewatching it, and it's such an important scene to like really showcase how she feels about Ichigo, and obviously it is romantic in the way she says it. She knows what she has to do in order to protect the people that she cares about, and that confession she was giving, obviously to a sleeping Ichigo, I think was still sweet, and it was like showcasing how she loves him, and that, like you said, like is there a happy ending for those two? And Ichigo's oblivious to it. I think until he fights Grimmjow, I think that's when he's like, okay, I kind of like her.
Kuba's so good at poems. And one of my favorite poems, if I were the rain that joins the sky and earth that otherwise never touch, could I join 2 hearts as well? And it's such a powerful quote, and it really puts together the rain scenes. Like, a lot of people talk about rain as depression, but in Bleach, it's so much more than that. It is used in conjunction with sad moments at times, but it's also about like washing away the bad and taking in the new. And Orihime and Ichigo have a lot of parallels that rely on the ways they've been mistreated in their life. Like, they both have been mistreated due to their hair color, and they've both had tragedies in their life, with Orihime losing her brother and Ichigo losing his mom.
Yeah.
And the sadness of the rain connects them in a way that they don't connect to other people.
Yeah, it's trauma bonding. Harping back on that is Ichigo's reactions to like Orihime in pain or distress, or like her call, right? Against Grimmjow, he sits there, is getting bodied the whole time, then he hears Orihime's voice and just instantly catches Grimmjow's hand. He's like, yeah, sorry, I can't look bad in front of her. And then same thing with Ukiura, where he gets a hole blown through his chest. Obviously, White takes over, but that was out of his will to protect Orihime and the people he cares about. And that just shows how much they're willing to go for each other, not giving up to death to protect her, and her even going to the depths of losing her life in order to protect Ichigo. I think it's just really romantic. Really showcases their two as a characters. That they're not two separate, but they're two peas in the same pod.
And then for biggest surprises, I would say it was the scene where Orihime gets debriefed by Rukiora that her friends are coming to save her. And she's just like, yeah, I kind of wish they didn't put themselves in harm's way for me. And he's like, and she says how she's glad they're coming anyways because they will be reunited as a friend group, as a circle, kind of implying like their hearts as one. And Rukiora mentions to her, this is either in this scene or when Chad basically dies against the Notori. He's like, they're going to fall like lambs to a slaughter. And she literally bitch smacks him. I was just like, it's like, oh shit, is she gone? Is this it? Because that's so ballsy.
We all thought she was. I totally thought she was dead after that. I was like, oh, she's about to die.
She doesn't even lit someone who could literally tear her apart with his eyes closed. She won't even lit that guy, talk bad about the people she cares about. And then people will say she's a damsel in distress, has no backbone, and all she's good for is healing. It's like, you can be a fighter without attacking. And she has a fighting personality.
So you don't have to be a battle shonen main pro tag in order to still have an impact in fights and in story. Not every damsel in distress needs to be some hard, strong warrior, because she is strong. And, that's probably one of my surprising things about when we were first introduced her. I did not believe at all that she was going to be impactful to the story. I felt like she was going to be along the road, especially when we found out about her powers. I was like, oh, okay, she's going to be like, white mage, and, she's going to sit here and heal Ichigo here and there.
It surpasses divine law, as Aizen once said.
It literally, her powers are, and it's so shocking, is that she's literally reality rejecting. That's a key aspect of her abilities and why Aizen was so obsessed with her. Is because her powers are literally reality rejecting. They're probably on par with what the Hogyoku if she were to like really like master them. Because she literally can like bring back like Ichigo's sword in the future and the 1,000-Year Blood War. I think her and the Book of the End were used in combination, I believe, of that. Yeah, no, she's sick. I love Orihime. I think she gets unnecessary hate.
Peak moments, I put fighting alongside Ichigo against your watch. It was just so fulfilling. Her character arc, I would say, is finally complete with her being able to fight as an equal with Ichigo, because all the way back to when she fought her first Hollow, Tatsuki, with some spiritual awareness, is trying to protect the class and save Orihime. Orihime's like, no, I'm the protector. I will save you, and I will have the power to protect everyone I need. Throughout the manga and anime, she just struggles to have the impact that she desires to have. Like, she has glimpses where she's able to block like Yami's attacks. She's able to block attacks from Ukiura when he's in his base form, but it's not until that you watch fight where she's able to block attacks and heal in the middle of combat and really make it to where like Ichigo doesn't run out of gas in the middle of the fight.
In that fight between Ichigo and Yuha, I'm glad Orihime was part of it because it just felt right. Especially during the time and the story context. I can't imagine, or I mean, even if Chad was there, it just wouldn't feel right. It makes sense that those two are the ones going up against basically a god at this point. And you have the reality rejector and the man that will overcome all things. I think it was a really good duality between the two, especially when they were fighting.
What's weird about that fight is Ichigo's like, hey, Orihime, put up a shield before I do this attack. And he does the Getsuga Tensho Grand Ray Zero combo. And then she's just at like the bottom of the stairs. It's like, what happened?
I think she.
Because once she's like at the bottom of the stairs, I don't think she does anything for the rest of the fight.
No, she doesn't. She doesn't. That's what I was like. I'm like, she doesn't do much after that.
It's also weird because with the Fullbring arc, it's common knowledge now that every Fullbringer would have like Fullbringer Light and have similar mobility to a Soul Reaper.
Yeah.
So there's no way. She should know how to do that at this point in the story, so she shouldn't be out of the fight unless she got hit.
Right. I hope they go into that more. Just let Orihime do a little bit more of her white mage stuff. Maybe let Ichigo take a hard hit and then boom, instant heal or something. I don't know. Like make her like where Yuha's like, I gotta get rid of her. Make it be like, oh, in one of these one of these many timelines where I could have lost, getting rid of her solves 90% of the issues or whatever. How do you feel about her PTSD when Ichigo shows off? Lets his hollow side creep up more, and he gets the Horn of Salvation.
It makes complete sense. I have no qualms about why someone would have a problem in that moment, because Orihime literally gets attacked by her hollow brother. She watched Ichigo hollowify, tear apart Rukiura, and stab. The story wants us to believe that Ichigo and Uryu are best friends, but it's not really supported that great.
No, it's not.
So, yeah, I would be piss scared if I was Orihime thinking I have to fight the epitome of a god and my love interest turned into a vicious monster that might stab me.
Yeah, and I think she felt a little bit responsible for that at the time too during that fight. And I, when I first saw that in the chapter, I was like, wow. I was like, that I'm like, I'm surprised they actually like made. Kubo wanted to make that callback that even though she is stronger and stuff, still seeing Ichigo in that state still like brings her like dark memories back because like of how scary that moment was for her.
I love that he just looks back with like this big smile. He's just like, it's me.
That's what's so heartwarming because Ichigo knew that she was gonna have a reaction, and he like gave her that smile. He's like, "Don't worry, it's okay." And then you could just see the ease that, oh man, they're such goals. I don't care what people say.
My favorite thing about Orihime is I think she just really accepts people for like who they are and wants to build you up instead of tear you down. There's like a variety of people who mistreat her, like how those two Roncar girls, I think it's Mentally and Lolly, they literally like physically assault her, they get her
Yeah.
bruised. They might even like break her bones. And the first thing she does is when Grimjow disintegrates the one of them, she decides to revive her. And that's not because like she feels bad about them getting hurt for hurting her. It's because she just wants people to be okay.
Yeah, she's just kind.
Like that's her first priority, and it's one of those other parallels that kind of connects her and Ichigo is that sadness and the rain that connects them. Ichigo actually in the beginning of the series is like very well on not the type of person to self-preserve and doesn't value his life that much.
Mm-hmm.
When he loses to Byakuya at the start of the show, he says, "Oh damn it, I'm not strong enough." And he just wishes he was dead. And Urahara is the one who brings the umbrella to him and stops the rain from clouding his judgment. And one of the comments I read on Reddit was, "Why are Ichigo's skyscrapers in his inner world always sideways?" And the response was, "The only time buildings are sideways is when you're jumping off a skyscraper." And Orihime doesn't really protect herself first.
No.
Just like Ichigo doesn't protect himself first. The longer the series goes, the more I have the impression they value themselves more. And if they were in need, they would tend to themselves before someone else.
Absolutely. And I think that's why they work so well together because they both have an act to protect and they just have a kindness to them. Ichigo's a little bit more like, brutal with how he, fights. But, probably my favorite things about Orihime is just like her, like, she has a very unconditional love for Ichigo. That is her rock. And, like, she looks up to him. And, like, at first, the beginning of the series, I kind of, like, thought she was kind of like imprinting her brother onto Ichigo, when in reality, I think Ichigo exactly what she needed, despite losing her brother. And I just like how does not stray from that at all throughout the series.
I think Ichigo Orihime is the only relationship in Bleach that works.
Yeah, I know some people like Ichigo and Rukia, but I used to be part of that train, but I'm not part of that train anymore.
I always get brother sister energy from them.
Exactly, it's such a brother sister vibe to me. But with Orihime, I see like, okay, like Ichigo, he's not the best social guy. He doesn't socialize too well. So for him to like fully know if a girl likes him, and he's more of that guy that's just kind of there for you.
Yeah, I would say one of the things people mess up in Bleach is they're like, oh, well, Ichigo is willing to save Rukia, so that's pretty romantic. And it's like, well, Ichigo saved Rukia because Rukia gave him the power to protect his family, and he wanted to rescue her out of duty because he felt like he owed her his life, so he needed to save her life once. But Orihime, on the other hand, he literally like flipped his shit when Yamamoto said Soul Society won't be rescuing her. He's like, okay, well then I'm going by myself. He's like, I have no plan, but I'm doing
Yeah,
it.
he said, I'm literally just gonna do it, whether you like it or not. And like his reactions of how reacts to wanting to protect her. Like I said, against Grimjow, it's probably one of my favorite Ichigo scenes. It's like definitely in the top 5, where he just sits there and grabs Grimjow's hand. It's always in every AMV too. He just sits there and looks at him with his hollow powers still sleeping through because he has like a
People hate that moment.
really.
Yeah, they think it's a cop out because they're like, oh, Orihime finally said, oh, protect me, Kurosaki-kun, and then he knew how to fight all of a sudden. And they also like show on Orihime because they're like, why did they need Nell to tell her what to do? It's like, well, I don't know if you could relate to this, but her brother was a hollow at one point
Yeah.
and it might have killed her.
She was literally scared of it. She literally had fear of Ichigo. It was like a very struggle between the two of how she felt, because she loves him, but at the same time she sees these hollow powers and she's like timid, if you will.
And then the other thing is when Ichigo has his round 2 fight where he uses his mask for the first time against Grimjow, literally, unless Grimjow uses Resurrection or Ichigo's mask breaks, I think he just wipes the floor.
Oh yeah.
So the fact that like Ichigo, after several fights practicing with his hollow mask, he's like going even with Grimjow. Kind of like screams alarm bells to me.
Oh yeah, that visor training did him wonders. I really love how your emotions for a character or like a friend or something impact how you battle. Like I totally think that's you've seen it in Naruto with Sasuke. Like not Sasuke had that curse mark, and they were facing the Hin Sound Village people in the exams, and Sasuke literally just flips out and just like, who hurt you? Literally looking at Sakura saying, who hurt you? Like I love when emotions affect a character's fighting style or how they're doing in a fight, because it's a real thing. Emotions can affect that.
You know what? Oh, fuck it. Let's talk about my two favorite moments from Orihime in the Fullbring arc.
Oh yeah, you're gonna have to remind me of this.
Oh yeah, I'm going to remind you of this one. So I've reread the Fullbring arc about 7 times. It's my favorite arc by far.
That is crazy.
One moment I'd love to highlight is when Orihime is being brought to execution by Chad to heal Ichigo so he can do his training. She like partially heals him. Ginjo is like, hey, Ichigo, you want to start the training up again? He's like, yeah, bro, I'm ready. He's like, okay, bro. And Orihime's like, no, he's not ready. He's like, yeah, but he said so. So he tries attacking. She blocks the attack, redirects it straight up into his face, and she says, he will be done being healed when I say so.
That was a little bit precursor of their relationship.
Yeah. And then the other moment is once this is either before that or slightly after that, when she's talking to Ruka about her life. She asks Orihime about, who do you live with? And she's like, no one. My aunt pays for everything, and I just have to make sure I have good grades. And she's like, well, what about your parents? And she's like, oh, my parents are dead. My brother used to raise me. And she's like, used to? She's like, yeah, my brother died too. And Ruka's like, okay, you're weird. I'm leaving. You shouldn't be saying all this sad stuff while smiling. And Orihime looks at her and says, the reason I'm able to talk about all this stuff while smiling is because Ichigo has opened my life to it.
Oh, it's so good.
It's such a beautiful way to say, like, Ichigo has helped me through a really difficult time in my life, and I'm ready to repay him in whatever way I can.
She's so goated. I love Orihime. I totally forgot about that actually. As soon as you reminded me, because I was like,
I would say those are like her top 2 moments: the Halcyon Days speech and then that. But I swear everyone forgets about them.
I'm not gonna lie. The Lost Agent arc, I at least watched arc, so I gotta rewatch that now. I want to see Orihime talk about Ichigo now.